If there was ever a case where silence is deafening, it's now. I'm talking about the edited audio recording of a meeting of the Justice and Human Rights Committee on Parliament Hill just a couple of weeks ago in May. The meeting where Michael Cooper, the Conservative MP, famously told a witness, Faisal Khan Suri, he should be ashamed of himself for daring to link Conservative commentators with mass shootings and mass shooters. And what Michael Cooper did, just to give you the recap here, is quote a section of the Christchurch shooter's manifesto, a section that basically says the shooter, Brenton Tarrant, disavowed and rejected conservatism, identified more with China. It was not to glorify it, it was to disprove the defamatory assertion made by the witness. But then you fast forward to June 4th, another meeting of the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Liberal MP Randy Boissonnault introduces a motion to purge Michael Cooper's comments from the record. Now, Michael Cooper himself had already been purged from the record when Andrew Scheer, the Conservative leader, decided to kick him off of the Justice Committee for this supposed transgression. But now Randy Boissonnault wanted to go one step further and make it so that the official record, the official Hansard transcript of the meeting would have no indication that Michael Cooper ever said what he did. What I didn't realize is that Parliament would go even further than that. Purging the record doesn't just mean taking it off the transcript, but even going back and retroactively removing it from what is supposed to be the raw audio feed of that meeting. Here's a clip of the edited version.
Thank you very much, and we'll now move to questions. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Mr. Suri, I take great umbrage with your defamatory comments to try to link conservatism with violent and extremist attacks. They have no foundation, they're defamatory, and they diminish your credibility as a witness. And let me, Mr. Chair, read into the record the statement of who was responsible for the Christchurch massacre. He left a 74-page manifesto in which he stated, close quote. And I certainly wouldn't attempt to link Bernie Sanders to the individual who shot up Republican members of Congress and nearly fatally killed Congressman Scalise. So you should be ashamed. Now, with respect.
Yeah, I know it's kind of awkward to stare there and listen to silence, but I wanted you to understand what has happened at the hand of parliamentarians. Removing words that were uttered, literally erasing the historic record of a meeting of government. This is something that legitimately comes out of Orwell. That's not an exaggeration. There's a great quote from the book where the character says that all the records have been falsified, destroyed. The only thing that remains is one's memory, which means that you can't prove what happened even when you know what happened. And those were very prescient words, written about 1984, but now we're in 2019, and the reality is still the same. And the one thing that I would say most Canadians need to realize here is that when Parliament can just remove the words and arguments put forward by MPs if it doesn't like them, there's no limit to what else they could give the same treatment to. There's no limit to what else they could decide. We don't think this should withstand the test of time. We don't think these words should exist in history. They were uttered. They were said. That's unavoidable. That's indisputable. And mainstream media outlets didn't actually write in the full context what Michael Cooper said. They referenced it. They would include sections of it. But what has been removed from the Hansard and removed from the audio didn't exist in writing anywhere until I put it up on True North, on tnc.news. The reason I did was not because I support the Christchurch shooter, and to say otherwise would be asinine, but because I believe that words that have been uttered in the course of a parliamentary debate do not deserve to be relegated to the dustbin of history because someone does not like those words' application. And I was quite pleased after I made the decision to publish these things. I had transcribed them manually from the audio, which is now gone. I was pleased to see other people on Twitter and in another website, The Post Millennial, do the same. Because if you are not prepared to have an honest and truthful accounting of history, you are not prepared to have an honest or truthful account of anything that happens in the world, because you believe it should be subjected through this lens that you can just decide on a whim. My condolences to Michael Cooper that his political career has been put in the crosshairs here, and that his words that he said have been allowed to quite literally be purged from history. We're trying to do our part for truth and for honesty. And we can't do it alone. If you want to support our work and being a voice that the mainstream media refuses to be, we need your help. Head on over to tnc.news, and you can join my Heritage Club for just a few dollars a month, or make any other contributions as you're able to. For True North, I'm Andrew Lawton.